Let's be honest, nobody wants to see the star player of their favorite team get traded. Every single year, people have doubts. There's uncertainty and some signs that an all-star or superstar could be traded, but most of the time, nothing happens. This season is pretty interesting. We've heard the usual rumors, but this season in particular, I think there's a good chance for some blockbuster trades to happen. Mainly cause so many star players are in awkward situations. Whether it's cause their team is shaky, or maybe they're just tired and want a change of scenery, or maybe they're on the last year of their contract. A lot of stars' contracts expire in 2021. Plus, there's a decent number of rosters this year that seem very volatile, and certain teams are willing to make a big move to shake things up. How's it going, folks? My name's Andy, and today, here are 7 NBA stars most likely to be traded by the deadline. Alright, let's get started. Number 7, Kyle Lowry. This will be tough for Raptors fans to swallow, but the team has been terrible. Their start to the season has been dreadful, but Lowry himself has remained consistent. As the heart and soul of the franchise for nearly a decade, there's no questioning his value to the team. In addition to his numbers, he brings so much. Leadership, toughness, a guy who all of his teammates love. The problem is, he's about to be an unrestricted free agent after the 2021 season. And normally, that wouldn't be a problem, but this time, it is. Reportedly, as of recently, Lowry had no discussions with the front office about a new contract. It seems to me that the team is waiting it out and watching how this season goes to determine whether or not they want to re-sign the 34-year-old Lowry. Nobody could have predicted this kind of start though, especially for a team that was contending a few months ago. The loss of Marc Gasol and Serge Ibaka killed their once prominent front-court defense. Previously, the Raptors held the second highest defensive rating in the entire league. Now, they're 16th. And offensively, they're even worse, as they sorely miss Gasol's passing and Ibaka's efficient scoring and floor spacing. It's not looking good for them, and thus, it's not looking good for Lowry. If the struggles continue, the Raptors will likely ship off Lowry's expiring contract to try and get back at least a pick or two, if they don't plan on re-signing him. Number 6, Andre Drummond. Maybe I'm reaching a little bit here, since I know a lot of people don't even consider Drummond as a star. But he did make multiple All-Star teams not too long ago. Just like with Oladipo and others, his contract expires by the end of the 2021 season. And despite your opinion of him, he's still worth something. Between him and Kevin Love, I think Drummond is more likely to be gone and probably has more trade stock, considering he's still putting up his usual numbers while Love has been injured. The Cleveland Cavaliers, despite having a relatively strong start to the year, the hope of reaching the playoffs is still unclear. They could, but I doubt Drummond will still be with them. I don't see a major trade happening here, probably just the Cavs trying to dump his contract to another team in exchange for a first rounder, or maybe a couple second rounders. But hey, if the Cavs do better than expected, maybe Drummond remains through the deadline. That's possible too. Number 5, Kemba Walker. Now this is an interesting one. First off, there's nothing wrong with how Kemba played last season. I think most Celtics fans would agree that they were content with how he played. But it's the recent knee problems that put his future in jeopardy. In late December, Coach Stevens said he won't be back anytime soon. There's somewhat of a mystery surrounding this injury, but besides that, there's been rumblings of a potential Walker trade for a while now, even before that. According to a report, Danny Ainge tried to trade Kemba on draft night, attempting to acquire a top 5 pick for the draft. That didn't work out. Ainge wanted to sell high before the severity of his knee issues came out. But it's a bit too late for that. Also, that's kind of funny, it's such a Celtics thing to do. Ainge is solely focused on assets and picks, and has no problem trading away a marquee player, no matter how much Kemba loves Boston. And with Tatum's recent extension, they'll be pretty deep into the luxury tax, and a banged up Kemba won't be worth it. It's unfortunate, because if he was healthy, the Celtics would have a real shot to make the finals. Without him? I mean, they'll still be good, of course, but they're missing a third scoring threat. Number 4. DeMar DeRozan. I was thinking about putting either DeRozan or Aldridge on this list. Both of them are on expiring contracts, but at this stage of their careers, the Spurs would get a lot more value back for DeRozan instead of Aldridge. This Spurs team has been led by a bunch of aging vets for the past few years, but it's time for the young guys to shine. DeRozan, while he remains the team's best player and leading scorer, let's be real, the Spurs aren't real contenders, and perhaps the team's touches are better off going to other players instead. I don't think he'll re-sign either, so it's either trade him and get something back or let him walk after the season is over. In October, there were reports that the Spurs had both DeRozan and Aldridge available for trade, and there were some deals floating around, such as a trade with the Lakers that would send DeRozan to LA for a package surrounding Kyle Kuzma. The Spurs were kinda interested, cause Kuzma would make them younger and that's the direction they wanna go. But since then, it's been quiet. There's been no news on whether or not the Spurs discussed a new contract with him either, but that's normal. He's about to be an unrestricted free agent and wants to test the waters. Now, if DeRozan played for the Celtics, Danny Ainge would most definitely trade him by the deadline. But it's the Spurs, and rarely do we ever see them make a blockbuster deal in the middle of the season. Even if their team is doing poorly, the front office is typically pretty passive and don't want to make too many hardcore changes. I mean, logically speaking, it's best to try to get something back in return for him. I don't think he'll be back in San Antonio next year. Number 3. Ben Simmons. Prior to the start of the season, the biggest and most significant player we've heard in trade rumors was James Harden. The Philadelphia 76ers, though, they were at the forefront of those rumors, with Ben Simmons' name popping up in numerous sources as the key player in a potential James Harden deal. Though the validity of these rumors are questionable. Doc Rivers claims that it didn't come from their side, but they did leak out from somewhere, possibly the Rockets side. Teams do this all the time when they want to trade somebody. Leaking this out entices other teams to jump in with their offers. It's certainly worth talking about. Even before these rumors popped up, there's always been some, I don't want to say tension, but uneasiness when it comes to the chemistry between Simmons and Embiid. While the two of them are close friends off the court, on the court, they aren't the best fits, and we all know that. The Sixers know that. That's why I wouldn't be surprised if they hopped on this opportunity to get Harden. Also, a reunion with Daryl Morey is pretty cool too. As much as I love the current Sixers squad, a Harden-Embiid duo would be absolutely filthy. That would be so fun to watch. Number 2. Bradley Beal. The speculation surrounding Beal has been quite intriguing. The Wizards have never even claimed to have wanted to trade him, nor did they ever express interest in any deals. His name came up because other teams have tirelessly called the Wizards about the availability of Beal. In fact, when Giannis signed his extension in Milwaukee, the organization essentially asked him who he wanted and which player he wanted to play with. Reportedly, Giannis pointed out that they needed to upgrade their backcourt, no surprise there, and then specifically mentioned Beal as the player he wanted to play with. So then, the Bucks reached out to the Wizards, as the calls continued to pour in. After the John Wall-Russell Westbrook trade, the talks with Beal died down a bit, cause the Wizards intended to see how it plays out with this new duo. Unfortunately, it hasn't been good. The Wizards got off to a god-awful start. It's been terrible. So now, the trade discussions are back up. When the deadline starts to approach and there's no sign of making the playoffs, Beal could very well be traded. He seems to be the player that most teams are interested in, cause his playstyle would fit well on any team. The ball is on the Wizards' court. They've got so many offers on the table, with so many suitors for Beal. But it's up to them to pull the trigger. At number 1, James Harden. I've talked about Harden a lot in my recent videos, so I'm gonna keep this simple. Here's the gist of it. Over the offseason, Harden said he didn't like the direction the team was going, so he demanded a trade. The Rockets were hesitant to trade him, but they did look around. And now, we're right back where we started. Any decision to trade Harden depends on how the Rockets are doing. As of right now, it's been alright? Not great, but not bad either. It's essentially just a waiting game, and the Rockets' future depends on how their franchise player feels. Still, the team has a lot of time to mull over their choices. I don't think Harden is the type of guy to purposely sit out games or give his team the cold shoulder if he doesn't get his way. Although he won't be a free agent until 2023, so the Rockets have all the time in the world to do as they wish. They can hold on to him and wait for the best deal possible. And those were 7 NBA stars who I think have the highest chances of being traded by the 2021 deadline. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you think any other players are likely to be traded as well. Do you agree or disagree with my choices? There's a lot of potential trades this season, mostly because so many contracts are expiring. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope y'all enjoyed the video, and of course, as always, I'll see you next time. Peace.